No, in the resolution.
Yeah, I know, I read it.
No, I already did.
You think? Yeah, I did.
Before we start the meeting this morning, Danny Harline, please come work prayer.
Father, we come to you right now, and Lord, especially in this season, Lord, we are just so thankful. And I want to take time, Lord, just to thank you for who you are and what you do for us, Lord. And I pray a blessing on each family that's represented here, God, and especially during this time, let them look at all of the things that we have to be thankful for, God. And for the people that are hurting, Lord, that have lost loved ones this week, God, my heart goes out to them, and I ask that you be with that family. And Lord, we just praise you, and we thank you for your Son, because it's through him, Lord, that we as sinners have reconciliation with you. And I just ask that you be with us, be with this meeting, God, that you give us wisdom, that we can make decisions that are pleasing to you. And I ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning and welcome to the meeting. Terry, would you give a roll call?
Dale Russell.
Yes.
Max Miller.
Here.
Bobby Toller.
Here.
Danny Hartline.
Here, sir.
Dale Foster.
We have regular session minutes from November the 9th, 2017. Everyone had a chance to look at those.
I make a motion we approve them as written.
Second. Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartline.
Yes, sir.
We have a special meeting minutes for November the 16th, 2017. If everyone had a chance to look at those. Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Second. Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartline.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we'll carry these to executive session minutes.
Yeah.
So, from the 14th.
I'll change this.
Okay, so it should be the 9th.
Should be 9. Yes.
We have executive session minutes on November the 9th, 2017. So everyone had a chance to look at those.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve them with the correction needed.
I'll second. Commissioner Russell.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Toller.
Yes.
Commissioner Hartline.
Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda is building permits, and Kevin says we don't have any building permits. Do you have anything?
Required.
Okay. What we like to hear. Next on the agenda is county finances. Derek?
Good morning, Roddy, want to switch it over, please? Oh, it worked, fantastic. All right, so we'll do our brief review of the finances as we always do. So general fund cash balance. So this is the cash balance of the general fund and the general fund reserves, capital improvements, compensated absences, all of the reserve funds plus the general fund all combined together, right? That's kind of make up the general fund. And it's sitting at about $1.9 million. So the general fund reserve is about 1.1, general fund is 360, I think, just about. And the other ones have 200,000, 50,000, 25,000, things like that. So I think you're all familiar with those different funds. It's a good number, but we've talked about this before. We really want to be closer to 6 months of the entire county. The entire county budget is 10 million, so we probably need to be targeting more like $5 million for a 6-month reserve. So we're just on the bottom part of the hill, climbing up to the top of where we want to be, but at least we're on the hill and walking that direction, so that's good. The next thing to look at is the general fund all expenses. That's the next one over, and I'm sorry these always get jumbled when we go up to the big screen. It's confounding when you have to fix that, but general fund all expenses is about $300,000. It means in the general fund itself we spent about $300,000 this month. It's less, it's below the prior month. And that was large. I looked into that. It was larger. We haven't paid probation or the arrearages for probation yet for this month. We had a liability insurance payment and health insurance we haven't done this month. So that's to be expected. Some of those will happen, some of them won't have to happen this month. General fund, all expenses prior year jumped down straight down below it. It was $673,000 last year. That had not taxes, that had some end of year transfers. We transferred $275,000 to reserves. We transferred a few other ones to some other reserves. That's why that was a little bit higher than normal. November is always kind of an odd month. We have higher expenses because we're trying to get end of year things through. And then some of our transfers, if we think that they're going to be surplus at the end of the year, we'll make those transfers out also. Okay, we go up to the top row, third one over is the general fund all revenues. That's at $198,000 this year, down significantly from last month. You know, as soon as we say that's a lot, taxes are the difference there. That we had a almost $400,000 disbursement, I should say, in taxes to the general fund. 200 for the general fund alone, sorry, which boosted that. So otherwise, we're pretty well in line. And general fund revenues prior year is just below it at $207,000. So we're kind of in line with that, not taking into consideration taxes, of course. I don't know why I just did that. All right, all county, all revenues. We're down here at the bottom left corner. It's $550,000 this month, down significantly from last month. Tax disbursement, we got taxes in. All county, all revenues prior year was $1.2 million. It also had tax disbursement in November of last year. Then we had all county, all expenses at the top row, all the way over, is just under $1 million, significantly less than last month. That's because we distributed $6 million in taxes, so up to $5 million, I should say. So obviously significantly less than last month this time, and last year it was $1.8 million. So again, we should see some spend in the last couple of weeks. We did transfers, we talked about the transfers at the end, and then higher expenses around at the fiscal year. So that's our brief overview. Any questions you have about that or any of the other reports you get every week?
The end of year expenses that usually come in for people buying stuff, what's our expectations on that? I mean, for people submitting for equipment or something when they find, you know, that they have line items. Have we gotten anything in about that? Because I know I got a call yesterday that, and it's not a big one, but I mean, I'm just wondering if other people are, if you expect any purchases.
I would suspect that there's some every year, so just historically I would say so, but historically they don't tell the treasurer's office or the county board that these things are going to come through, so we kind of just.
I didn't know if anybody communicated with you that they'd like to do this.
Nobody's told me specifically that they expect to buy $10,000 worth of pens or anything like that.
Okay. Okay.
I'll let you know if it happens.
Well, yeah, I'll know too.
And I've had a discussion with a couple office holders that, you know, obviously if there's room in your budget and you need something, get it, but please don't buy things that you don't absolutely need right now. So,
Okay.
but I did get the same phone call you got.
Any other questions?
No, Dan, you asked the question I was gonna ask.
Thanks for your report.
I did have one other question. When, I think I asked you this the other day, as far as late notices on taxes, when do those go out? And
So last year we started sending friendly reminders, like we had one last chance, and I think the expense on that was, I can't remember what it was, but we needed a 43% payment return on those friendly reminders, and we had like 60% return on those. So that more than paid for itself and getting taxes in to pay for sending out another mailer to those. We'll send the friendly reminders out again this year, probably next week. When we get through Thanksgiving, we'll send those out sometime next week. But then the kind of official starting to take action, we'll target it at February tax sale date again. That's kind of how we've been doing it the past few years, and it allows things to get through the holiday season. So late notices will probably go out in late December, early January, somewhere in that range.
Okay, next on the agenda, under old business, is retiree health benefit resolution. Any kind of update on that?
Nope, it's still kind of at a standstill while you guys are, looking at the whole early retirement package.
First, under new business is approval of the bills. Does everyone have a chance to look at those?
yeah, I had a question, and Danny, maybe you can answer this, I don't know if he communicated with you or Raleigh. The reimbursement for the computer and printer for Dana, did he approach you on this, or did you?
That was a call I got yesterday.
That's different.
Sure. No, that's what I got a call on.
He's already bought a laptop now, or he's already bought a desktop, and now he's wanting to buy a laptop also.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Yes. He bought this desktop. He sent me a voicemail message saying that he needed his PEX card limit increased so that he could buy it, or could he put it on his personal credit card. I responded back and asked him not to put it on his personal credit card because I didn't think that was a good idea with it being a county purchase. And I asked him to use Raleigh to get a better price, but I guess, I don't know. I don't know if it was, he didn't get my email back before he ordered it, or if he proceeded otherwise, but he bought it on his personal credit card and himself. So
Yeah, to answer your question, Max, no, I got the call after all this, and he was wondering about expenditure lines, because he took it out of, he wanted to take it out of something, because he had some money there, and wanted to shift the money. But no, I did not know what to purchase beforehand, but that's what he called me about yesterday, is moving the monies around in the line items so that he could pay for that, or pay for one of them. I didn't know that he ordered two. But I did tell him to communicate, if he's gonna buy anything, communicate through Raleigh,
did I.
and to let you know then on
Well,
the monies.
That was actually my question, if that happened or not.
He talked to you, didn't he, Rob?
He told me he was gonna do it. I offered to order it and get some pricing. He said he'd just take care of it.
Cause he gets the same, cause he's got the same thing you got. I sat and talked with him,
I don't know what that
you know,
is.
as far as our purchasing goes, our purchasing power through Dale.
Well, he told me he has a Dell preferred account. I don't use that anymore because I found it's more expensive. Dell doesn't really wanna sell individually to you like that. It's easy to get other quotes or check on Amazon. At the very least, I'd get competitive pricing just to make sure.
And how'd your pricing come up with it? Or did
I don't know what he ordered. He just said he was gonna take care of it.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, that's,
But speaking of that, so he has money left over in his budget, and that's why he's also wanting to buy a laptop. I don't know if you're talking about those expenditures that happened at the very end. So I don't know how you want to proceed with
well,
that. He's
well, no,
asking
and my question there would be,
why did he roll?
a need. Yeah, I mean, if there's a need, I have no problem with the purchase. You know,
Well,
and-
With Dana's, he has a laptop, and he had, of course, the laptop came through a grant many moons ago, and that thing is slower than smoke, you know what. But the other one is basically a put-together. It was donated from Grant. That thing is older than Methuselah, slower than Methuselah, and he needs some stuff so that he can get a lot out of it, because the state is actually putting a lot more down that's gotta be done. And it's all gotta be stored on the computer, and all the work's gotta be transferred into the state. Otherwise, we lose a lot of credibility. And we can't afford to do that when you're trying to put something together.
I'm not questioning need or anything
Fair.
of the kind. I'm questioning the protocol on purchasing this. And that's what I want to know. I don't, go on the record, I don't think it was followed.
Okay, yeah, and I get that. And that was the call that I got, and I told him to call you. And I take it he did.
Good enough. Make a motion to pay our bills.
Second.
Commissioner Russell?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hartline?
Yes, sir.
Next on the agenda, under new business, is Regional Office of Education, number 30, quarterly report of activities at Cheryl Hart.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak with you this morning. I just kind of wanted to give you an update from our office and what's happening there. So I submitted a report of our activities for the first quarter, which was July, August, and September. And then I just wanted to kind of fill you in on some other things. In the past, we have a truancy grant for our office. In the past, the truancy grant was held by Century High School in this area for Union, Pulaski, and Alexander counties. And so they decided they were not going to redo that for this coming year. So ROE 30 took that and we submitted that to the state. So, but I just want to let you know, the state did not give us any additional money compared to what we had in the past to take on 3 more counties. So, but we do have truancy officers that we have hired down here in this area also to serve the counties of Alexander, Union, and Pulaski. I also wanted to let you know that one of the things we're working on with districts in Union County is a teacher shortage. So we have been using some retired teachers that we know, kind of begging to help fill some of those positions. These are some things that I've started talking to the state legislators about. I'm in contact with SIU to see who's retired, who's going to graduate from the student teacher program in December, to see what we can do to help some of the districts with this problem that they are having. If you've been reading any of the news, you know that we're going to have a new funding system for our school districts. It's called evidence-based funding. So each district is probably going to receive in January what their local capacity is. And so what ISBE and the state is saying, this is what we expect you to be able to raise on a local level, and then they will fund from that point. Some of the evidence-based funding is based on what research says that our districts need in order to educate our students. So an example of that would be in classrooms K through 3, if you have poverty students, evidence says we need a ratio of 15 to 1. In a classroom, if they're not poverty students, it's 20 to 1. And so it's based on enrollment and your poverty students, also based on your special ed students and how much money is needed to serve those. So that's where the evidence is coming from. Now, the other thing that in this evidence-based funding is obvious, they're not going to fund what it's really going to take for the districts to have all of these things that are in this new bill. And so slowly they hope to build that up. So some other examples that are in the evidence-based funding, we know that when we think about school counselors, we think about school counselors being at the high school level. Evidence-based funding shows we need counselors at all levels. But it's done on a number of enrollment. So it's not done on a minimum amount. So they may say that you could have 1 counselor per 450 students. That's going to be prorated. So it doesn't mean every school is going to get a counselor. They would have to have that many students. If they don't have that many students, then what the state is saying is available, they'll prorate that. So if you have half of that, you would receive half of a salary of a social worker or a guidance counselor. And so that may be that we're going to have to start working with our districts and sharing some of these personnel that are some of our smaller rural districts that are closer together to be able to help them to have those positions available in their district. Let's see if I have anything else on here. Oh, one of the other things we're doing right now is we're doing some communication with SIU and some community services. We've done a survey with our administrators to find out the needs when it comes to substance abuse, mental health, any trauma, suicide on our students. And so from that survey, we're looking at what kind of community services are available to help our districts. And so we're partnering with SIU and working with Centerstone, Gateway, and Rural Health to see what we can do, to see if there's any other grants out there available that we will be able to maybe bring additional services to our districts. That is just in the beginning process of some of the data that we're collecting right now and some of those partnerships that we're trying to develop. So those are just some of the few things that are going on in our office right now. Does anybody have any questions that you would like to ask me? So if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to contact my office. And I'm in and out a lot, but I'll certainly get back with you and assist you in any way that I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is early retirement incentive for Union County employees. Do you have an update for us?
I did talk to one of the reps at IMRF, and she confirmed that the lump sum payments for PTO were included in the ERI, which was the way we adjusted it for last meeting, so that you could see those numbers. And then she also, I asked her if first year meant 2020, because to show the rate a couple years out, and she said theoretically, yes, but it depends on when someone retires. So if someone retires as soon as your program starts, you could see it as early as 2019. If they wait the full year, you wouldn't see it until 2020. So that's kind of the clarification that she gave for that. I don't know that it's gonna affect the numbers that we have necessarily, because then we have to guess at what month someone is going to retire, to be able to look at that,
But can we set the date and time, or the date for them to retire, or not?
No, I mean, Terry's brought this up a couple times, it looks like for the ERI rules, it says that you should be able to, but he clarified with them, and they said, no, that's not what that means. And that the employees can, I'm taking it at, if they turn in their intent to retire, then yes, you can tell them, this is when we need you to retire. But if they can wait and not turn in that intent until they're ready to retire.
So we don't even have a cutoff date if we end up putting it into effect?
No, you have a cutoff date of
They
December
have a
first.
cutoff date but we can't set one. We have to go off theirs.
Yes, one.
That's the way it was, that's not what it says in the literature that we received, but that's the verbal clarification I got from the representative.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at with that. I did not spend the last couple days working on this. When I gave you the numbers before, the only thing that wasn't in there really is the retiree health insurance. So that's gonna cause your numbers actually to go up, be higher, because everybody that retires is gonna be on the health insurance, and they'll be on it for a longer period of time. So the numbers will go up a little bit. I can rerun those numbers, we can revisit them. I spent my time the last day and a half working on the budget, so.
Did we get any paperwork from, like what was offered at Williamson County for their incentive?
No, I spoke to Rhett, and he had told me about it and said he was gonna send it to me, but he didn't. I reached back out to him a couple days ago and said that, you know, that you had thought that he had sent it to me already, and he hasn't responded,
I'll follow up on it.
so.
It sounds like then that we're still gonna have to gather some more information before we make a final decision.
Yeah, and of course, the IMRF incentive, we can gather more information, but I really would like to see what was offered up there. Because I really don't know, but I would like to look at that, see how the numbers turn out on that one.
I think they just offered a flat amount,
I think they
flat
did.
dollar amount
I think they
for
did.
people to retire. But the way Brett was explaining it, there were also some stipulations to it. That the office holders also had to agree to either not fill the position or fill it at a lower level of pay. But I don't have the exact wording because that was the resolution.
And of course, that would depend on too, on how many took advantage, and Williamson County is in a different boat than we are, but I would really, though, still like to look at what their incentive was, and just, you know, put the pencil and paper and crunch the numbers to see.
Anything else? Next on the agenda is declaration of vacancy in County Commissioner seat C due to the resignation of Dale Russell. Dale and I talked about it following on November the 10th. And he actually emailed his resignation to me later that day. I made Angie aware of it and talked with Tyler, and we went over some things that we need to do. First of all, we need to declare the position vacant. And Tyler, you're here to make sure I do it right. I should. But, first of all, we need to declare the vacancy on the board, so.
And you need, the vacancy is actually effective the day that the resignation is received, although it's a conditional resignation for, I believe, the 24th. So the vacancy is actually effective the 10th for the timeline purposes in the statute. So you would need to declare the vacancy effective November the 10th.
Okay, so our motion would be to reflect that.
I make a motion that we so do.
Second.
So that's a motion to declare the vacancy
November the 10th.
effective though November the 24th.
You know, it's effective November the 10th
10th.
under the
Oh.
statute.
Second.
He actually is leaving office on the 24th.
Okay, yeah.
It's for Commissioner seat C and due to the resignation of Dale Russell.
Commissioner Russell,
Same.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Toler,
Yes.
Commissioner Hartline.
Yes, sir.
And before we move on to the next section, I will say that, you know, I certainly appreciate your time on the board. And we did order you a plaque, but it hasn't, we haven't received it yet, so, you know, we'll get with you at a later time, to give you the plaque.
I second that. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Third.
Parliamentary procedures.
There you go.
Okay, next on the agenda is the appointment to fill the vacancy of the county commissioner seat C. Letters were sent out to the political parties asking for a recommendation to fill the vacancy. I have a letter that I've received from the Republican Party, and it says, to Bobby Toler Jr., Chairman of the County Board of Commissioners, in regards to the vacancy of Commissioner Dale Russell position with the Union County Republican Central Committee, humbly submit the name of Alex Feller to complete the unexpired term of seat C. And I talked to Teresa a while ago, and they're not going to submit the letters, so we've got the letters that we need with the request. So next on the agenda is the appointment to fill the vacancy I'm, as chairman, will make the motion to appoint Alex Feller based on the recommendation of the Union County Republican Party. Need a second.
Second.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just want to be clear that the board understands what the nature of the appointment is. This is not an appointment for the full remaining full four-year term. This is an appointment until the vacancy is filled at the next general election. I just wanted to make sure you were clear on that. Remember, the next election will be for a four-year term to fill the
That's part
remainder
of
of
it.
this.
Yes, thanks, Margaret. We're
In November. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Russell,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Toller,
Yes.
Commissioner Harline.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Sure.
Well, are you sure? Are you sure? We will move on in the agenda to an update on the circuit clerk single line audit. Did you receive any information with the audit?
I'm refreshing my phone as we speak to see if I have an email from her. I do not. We received this letter from the Supreme Court of Illinois with regards to the audit for our circuit clerk's office. They were inquiring about the audits for fiscal years 2014, 15, and 16. I was aware that 15 and 16 were still outstanding from our auditor, Ken Meyer. 2014 was completed. I'm not sure or how it didn't get to them. So after we received this letter, Darren actually sent them 2014, so they should be good for that year. With regards to 15 and 16, I sent Kim an email to try to get a status update. I specifically asked her, is there anything that we as the county are holding you up on? Or, you know, how are you gonna proceed to get this audit finished? I sent her a copy of this letter. She did not respond via the email. I called a couple times, but her voicemail was full, so I couldn't leave a message. However, last night, she actually responded back to I sent her an email again telling her that we were having a board meeting and I'd like an update. She sent an email back to me last night and said, I've gotten your emails and I will send you a finalization plan soon. That's it. So I'm not sure exactly what that means or where it is. I did copy this letter to send it to Tyler also, so that, you know, our legal was up to date on it. You know, obviously Tyler's response was, let's hear from Kim, what is her plan first? But, so it sounds like hopefully soon she'll send me an email with what the plan is to get these completed, but I don't know when that email will come.
We're due to bid that again, aren't we?
If I can shed any light on it, she has not even started my audit for the 16. She's still held up on the 15 stuff, which I had gotten the agency reports. Basically, what she's going through is matching my bond to the sheriff's bond from a lot of paperwork. That's what she's been holding up on, and she's not even started on anything from the 16 year. So I don't know how she's even gonna audit that, because I gave that stuff to her back in, was it April or May? I sent Angie a copy of that letter. She's not even picked a piece of the paperwork up from that. I mean, she signed for it, but she's not audited anything in my office on any of that stuff. So I don't know how,
It's not good.
it would be a good audit when she turns it in anyway.
To me, it's getting to the point where we need to talk to our legal, Tyler, which we can't, you know, we can't do it here, but we need to.
Yeah, we should, you and I and county administrator should probably need to talk about that Tuesday after nine, if you're available.
That would work.
Well, I don't know, just my 2 cents on this. She did us a great job in the beginning, on record. It helped us tremendously. I don't know what the hell is going on with it now, but I think we need to be looking at coming up with a new auditor. I mean, we ran into problems with the last auditor and got in trouble and got rid of them. And she answered the bell at the time, but she certainly isn't now. So, I mean, you guys meet. I mean, again, I don't know legally how we go about this or when we can or whatever, but that needs to be handled soon. I think, it's just my opinion.
I'm with you on it.
Yeah, I think so too.
We'll set up a time next Tuesday then. We can all meet.
Before we go on, the audit that was turned in, Darren, on 14s, right? Tiffany, for 14s was turned in?
I'm not sure that was before my time, but it was done, that was from prior, so I guess it just hadn't been turned over to the state.
Okay, what were any of the findings on that?
You have to pull it up.
I didn't review it. When we got the letter, I was confused at why 14 was on there, and Darren said, well, I can, I can help you out with this.
And the reason I'm asking, because, last time, when that happened, then we were responsible, they did 15s and 16s, and then when it was turned in, there was findings for 14, 15, and 16 that reflected on us that we had findings for 3 years in a row, when we had no chance to correct what was done the first year, because the other two hadn't been done yet. Now, Tiffany, I don't know if that would be the same way on yours.
It's probably definitely gonna be that way for 16, because she's not even got my 15 done, so how am I gonna have a chance to
See,
respond?
and again, and that's, of course, I've voiced my opinion on the last audit on that. That's where it reflects poorly on us, but we have no recourse to fix it, because we don't know. And I got a problem with that.
I did go ahead and do that letter, which I had emailed, I had sent it first to Tyler, and then he had done a recommendation to add the time, so I did, tally up that, and put that on there, and then send it out to you guys, so that would be complete before this fiscal year end. Because I know that was a finding from prior, so I did go ahead and complete that.
That's my only comment. And there's not anything we can do about it at this time, but it just, that we look like we dropped the ball when indeed we did not. So.
She put it in our 17 audit, that the fact that she had